Hey guys, so I am coming to you today to discuss something that has literally baffled me for a very long time. I would say I've been baffled by this since the very beginning of my lock journey, when obviously I first started watching YouTube videos with people who have lots and who are on their own respective journeys. Okay, so in these countless videos that I've watched, so many times have I heard people say, I don't know why my back locks seem to be growing faster than the locks on the top of my head or in the front of my head. These back locks, they're like touching my back, they're down my back, but the front locks are only like just in my face or, just down to my neck, but they're not touching my back like my back locks. Like, I don't understand why my hair is growing faster in the back than it is in the front. Now I've also heard people complain about, maybe the hair not locking as fast in the front as it is in the back, and that makes sense to me. There could be many reasons why that's the case. An example is maybe if you sleep on your head, maybe that kind of expedites the locking process because there's that compression, and maybe that helps the hair tangle faster. That would explain why, the back is locking faster than the front. That makes sense to me. I understand that question. But to ask why the back locks are growing faster than the locks in the front of your head, like, that doesn't make sense to me, because I don't think that is true. I don't think that that's the case. And new lockers as well as veteran lockers are guilty of making this complaint. So to me, it just seems very obvious. But if you're watching this video, maybe you've never thought about it like this. So I'm going to illustrate this point, and hopefully you will be enlightened. All right, so now I have borrowed this dowel, which belongs to my niece. I don't know what kind of dowel this is. It just says selfie on her shirt. I don't know if that's a design or the name of a dowel. Who knows? But as you see, this dowel, we'll call her Pink. Pink has long hair, right? All over. But if we look at the hair in the front, right, and we compare it with the hair in the back, it appears that the hair in the back is growing faster than the hair in the front. So, I guess the struggle is real, even for make-believe dolls, The struggle is clearly real, because clearly her hair is longer in the back than it is in the front, right? No, people. Okay, so what you are failing to realize is that the hair down here, that is clearly at a lower level than her hair on the top of her head, right? We have this height difference, right? So now imagine that, like, you grew your hair for 4 to 6 months, and roughly, like, your hair is roughly the same length all over. Say we're talking about a guy, and he completely shaved his head, and then he decided he was going to grow his hair out for 6 months and then get some starter locks. Okay, pretty much the hair is going to be roughly the same length all over his head. And when he gets his starter locks, those locks will, roughly be the same length as well, all over his head, because the hair that was twisted or whatever method was used for the starter locks was roughly the same length. Okay, your hair pretty much all over your head continues to grow at the same rate, barring, any crazy exceptions. So it's not the case that the hair is actually growing faster in the back. That's not the explanation as to why that hair is down, touching your back. But the hair in the front only comes to here. What is the explanation is that the hair on the top of your head, this hair here on the top of Pink's head, it's hanging down. Right? It's coming from a higher height than the hair back here. So it's actually not going to hang as low as the hair back here would, you know? So like my locks up here in the front of my head, top, they're not gonna hang down as low as the locks back here. Why? Because these locks back here are much lower. They're coming from a lower part of my head, and therefore they're hanging lower. That's not to say that these locks are longer. If, say, I snipped off one of my locks and I put it up here, you know, they would be roughly the same length. And, you know, I'm willing to bet that whoever designed Pink and her hair, they probably took strands of equal length, you know, cut them up, and then inserted them into her hair. So I'm willing to bet that if you took a piece of, you know, some strands of her hair back here that comes from the back of her head, cut it, and then cut some strands from the top of her head and put them side by side, I bet they would be roughly the same length. So the lesson, the moral of the story is that the hair in the front of Pink's head and the hair, you know, at the top and in front of my hair, it's not that it's growing more slowly than the hair in the back of my head. It's the fact that the hair is coming from a higher spot on my head, and therefore it's not hanging, it's unable to hang as low as the hair back here, which is just coming from a lower spot on my head. Does that make sense? I swear, you know, I've been wanting to make this video for a long time, but I'm like, I don't want to offend anyone, I don't want to insult anyone, I don't want anyone to feel patronized. Like, I swear that's not what I'm doing. But like, seriously, like, so many people, so many lockers ask this question, like, why is my hair in the back growing like so much faster than the hair in the top of my head? And I always think, like, but have you thought about like where the hair is coming from? I mean, you said it, from the top of my head or the front of my head, but think about it, like, it's higher, so once it hangs, it's not going to hang as low as the hair in the back. I mean, if you took a lock and it went all the way down to as low as the lock in the back is hanging, that lock would be so much longer than this back lock, you know, just to get down to that same level. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, it must help, right? It just makes sense. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here before I run the risk of offending anyone. So hopefully that helps, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Peace.